Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, September 21st. Maria is still a major hurricane, Category 3, still moving to the northwest, north of the island of Hispaniola. It looks like it'll slide to the east of the Bahama Islands, turn more northward and then northeastward. Still an outside chance that it affects the U.S. coastline, and we'll talk about the factors over the next few minutes. Odds favor it staying out to sea, but it's still a concern because there are some factors that suggest there could be a westward shift in the track as we get closer and closer to the event time. Meanwhile, Jose is a tropical storm, and we've talked about this for the last several days. It is running into a brick wall in the atmosphere, basically grinding to a halt. That blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere will kind of force it to loop back around, and it could interact with Maria over the next few days. There's still lots of players on the table, still lots of potential solutions here. Hopefully Maria stays off the coast, but we'll talk about some of the reasons for some concern if you're along the east coast of the U.S. First of all, here is the current positioning of Jose and Maria. Jose, again, at last report, labeled as a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds at 60 miles per hour. Now notice here the movement at the very bottom of that box, nearly stationary. It has run into that brick wall in the atmosphere and will actually tend to loop back to the south and west over the next day or two. Meanwhile, farther to the south, Hurricane Maria, still a major hurricane, Category 3. Maximum sustained winds now 115 miles per hour. Continues to move to the northwest, and again it should slide to the east of the Bahamas and then start turning to the north. And right in this position right here, it'll make a decision whether or not to go out to sea or cut back towards the coast. Again, odds tend to favor the out to sea solution, but there's still some concern that it could shift westward, and we'll talk about that over the next several minutes. The official hurricane track of the National Hurricane Center is shown right here, again as a major hurricane sliding to the east of the Bahama Islands and then turning to the north and eventually to the north and east, but a westward shift still is not out of the realm of possibility. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z European model run, and we'll talk about many of the players involved with the ultimate path of Maria. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast pattern in 24-hour increments running out for the next 10 days from the European model of last night. All these maps, by the way, available from tropicaltidbits.com. First of all, Jose, situated right here, Maria down here. Notice some high pressure ridging up across the southeastern part of Canada. Again, let's move in 24-hour increments. And notice, first of all, Jose. Let's just focus in on Jose. It has grinded to a halt. And actually, in that jump, the 24-hour jump, it takes a little loop to the south and west. We'll continue to focus on that. And then it tends to weaken. But notice a little bit of a trough here left behind. And that remnant trough from Jose will influence Maria one way or another, but so will this high pressure ridge. This is another major factor up here, and we've often talked about how strong high pressure to the north of the mid-Atlantic region in the northeast U.S. or southeastern Canada this time of year spells trouble because winds flow clockwise around high pressure areas, and that tends to push tropical systems closer and closer, perhaps even onto U.S. soil here. Now let's go back to the beginning here of this loop, and here we go. Let's start again with the initialization time of last night, and now walk through, and we'll focus in on this high pressure ridging as well as Maria here, 24-hour increments. Here we go here. Still strong high pressure ridging Friday night, Saturday night, moving now east of the Bahama Islands, just the weakened remains of Jose, another 24 hours. And this is the area of concern for me right now, and this is why it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's a westward shift in Maria at this point in time. This is Sunday night, strong high pressure ridging right up here as depicted by last night's European model run. Again, the tendency is for a ridge like that to help push tropical systems from the east to the west, given that clockwise flow of air around high pressure. Let's keep moving forward here. Now, the European model at this point does in fact turn this to the north and east and goes out to sea, but it's still high pressure ridging here. This is now by the middle of next week. Still have this strong blocking pattern or high pressure ridging up across southeastern Canada and Maria. Too close for comfort at this particular time. Again, it does, in odds, favor it pushing off the coast. Notice some upper level troughing starting to approach the eastern U.S. here. This is at the end of next week. This too could become a key player. Certainly if Maria does not make landfall by the end of next week, its chances will be greatly diminished by the approach of this upper level trough, because this is a big time upper level trough. It sets up a deep upper level low in the northeast U.S., which would keep any kind of a tropical system away, and we turn colder than normal by the end of September, the beginning part of October. But again, with that high pressure ridging, strong high pressure ridging in the north, southeastern Canada, northeast U.S., right through the middle of next week, there still is a concern for the ultimate movement of Maria. Well, let's walk through the surface maps from the 0Z European model. Again, this is in 24-hour increments. Jose right here, Maria right here. Let's go ahead to this evening. Again, Jose is going to take a little bit of a loop back to the southwest as Maria slides east of the Bahamas, and it continues over the next couple of days. This is now by Sunday evening. The remnants of Jose interacting with northward movement Hurricane Maria at this point in time. Let's keep moving forward here. Again, it comes awfully close, too close for comfort at this time. Again, I believe there's some concern for a potential shift to the west in this track. Again, odds favor it staying out to sea, but it's some concerning signals here, namely that high pressure ridging up to the north in the upper part of the atmosphere. European model does push it out to sea, but we'll continue to monitor this over the next couple of days. Well, one final set of maps. This is the lower atmosphere, the 850 temperature anomalies over the next 10 days from the 0Z European model run. Very interesting. Again, a big time trough headed into the eastern part of the U.S. by the end of the month, early part of October, and with it will come a much different type of temperature pattern. Much warmer for the next several days here in the mid-Atlantic region, much of the east, but then colder than normal at the end of the month, early October. Let's move forward again, 24-hour increments. We're much above normal throughout the eastern half of the nation today. That will continue well into next week. Basically a dry and very warm pattern for the mid-Atlantic region for the next several days. Let's keep moving forward here. And here we go. Still warm. This is now Saturday evening, Sunday evening, Monday evening, Tuesday evening, and finally Wednesday evening. Notice, however, large area in the middle of the country turning colder than normal by the middle part of next week, and that is associated with that big time upper level trough that is headed our way for the end of the month. And here we go by Friday night of next week. This is a week from tomorrow, September 30th. Colder than normal as that upper level trough sets up. And again, if Maria is still hanging around at this time, it will never penetrate this. It'll be pushed away to the east by this very strong upper level trough. And again, colder than normal conditions. I'm flipping the pattern. Next several days above normal here in the east temperature-wise, but by the end of the month, early part of October, we get much colder than normal as that big-time upper-level trough reaches the east in about 9 or 10 days or so. So a lot to focus in on in terms of the ultimate path of Maria. A couple of players involved, the remains of Jose, plus high-pressure ridging for the next several days to our north across southeastern Canada. And then beyond that time frame, strong upper level troughing heads into the eastern part of the U.S. Stay tuned for updates over the next several days with regard to the ultimate path of Maria. That's it for now. I'm VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian.